Hello guys and welcome to the FPL Duo. So we are here for the deadline stream for Game Week 3 where we discuss the final preparations of the team before obviously the deadline ends, which is at 11 PM UK time. Just before we get into this, obviously Huss has been unable to make it to his deadline stream. So I'm sure he will send his team out on Twitter to see what his team selection will be. But I'm sure he'll be back for the knee jerk obviously at the end of Game Week 3, fingers crossed. But for the current moment, I'll show what my plans are for my team because there are transfers involved. But before we get into this obviously video as well, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe for more, and leave a comment if you wish. So as you can see, guys, on the screen, this is my current starting 11 and bench. So I'll just run through it quickly, who I'm going with, who's lined up. So in goal, I've got Flecken, who has a nice fixture. Back three, Robinson, Pedro Porro, and Dan Burn. Midfield five was Saka, Fernandez, Diego Jota, Mo Salah, and Gordon. And up front, we've got Muniz and Isaac as the front two forwards. And on the bench, we've got Vardy, Marson, Leif Davies, Kwanzaa, and Solanke. And the captaincy is still locked on Muniz and the vice on Saka. I think I've decided now that's not going to change. I was tempted at going with Saka, but judging from Brighton's good form in the last 2 game weeks and the fact that Arsenal's game is an early fixture has slightly put me off of captaining Saka for this game. We can go for the fixture, which arguably is the best fixture that Fulham possibly have against Ipswich, and hopefully the Muniz captaincy pays off, as he's not really that highly owned. He's just over 10% ownership, so if he can get at least 1 goal in that game, that would be a delight for my rank, and in terms of a good start the game week 3. But for the rest of the team, if someone isn't going to play, obviously there's Davies on the bench there. I could have potentially swapped Davies out for Burn, but there's still a clash because I expect Ipswich to concede against Fulham. So yeah, there's regardless of who I take in or take out, it's going to be a clash here or there. But I'm taking a gamble on Burn to see if they can make a clean sheet. A draw would be delightful, a 0-0 against Spurs and Tottenham, because that means Pedro Porro and Burn both get clean sheets, obviously. But I see that game being a both teams to score scenario. So that's basically the starting 11 and bench talk through briefly. And there are going to be some transfers for this deadline stream, guys. As you did see in team selection, I was contemplating taking out Bruno Fernandes. Well, at this point, it's not contemplating, it's definitely happening, because he has Liverpool at home, and I've not liked the look of Man United so far. And it was a mistake bringing a Man United asset in, I think, from the game week 1. So yeah, I think it's a good move, the transfer that I'm going to take Bruno Fernandes out for long term, and hopefully for this game week it's going to pay off. But before we move on to transfer plans, let's get a few of your comments in. So we've got a few of you in the chat. Say good morning from Genius Gamer and from Mr. T as well. And the first question of the stream: start Porro or Konza? I would probably start. I'll start Porro, I think. Yeah, I think I'll start Porro. I could see possibly Aston Villa conceding today, or not today, but when they play. And I see Porro conceding as well, but I like Porro's attacking threat. So yeah, I'll probably start Porro over Konza. Who would you bench between Roger, Smith Rowe, and Chris Wood? Well, that's a tough one. Because Smith Rowe has Ipswich, Rogers has Leicester, and Wood. Who does Wood have? Let me just get the fixtures up so I can see who Chris Wood has. So he has Wolves. That is tough. Because Wolves has conceded 6 against Chelsea. Obviously, I don't see that happening again with Nottingham Forest that many goals, but I quite like to have Wood in that starting 11. I like the Aston Villa cover, so I'd want Rodgers. Smith Rowe. I can't bench Smith Rowe. It's going to have to be Chris Wood, I think, to bench out of those three. As tough as that is, I would want to play Rodgers and Smith Rowe in my team. And just hope Chris Wood does blank against Wolves. Got Hassam in the chat, says, hi, starting Kunkun or Burn. I'd probably start Burn, Hassam, because Chelsea did play again. I think it was the other day. So Nkunku's minutes could be limited, especially when he started in that game. So yeah, I'll probably start Burn over because I don't think Nkunku will start. If he does, he won't play that many minutes. Good morning, Erica. Who would you bench between Hall, Munoz, and Porro? Hall, Munoz, or Porro? Crystal Palace have Chelsea. Hall has Tottenham. Porro has New. So you're in a situation I am. You've got Hall and Porro who play against each other. But Munoz has Chelsea. On the basis of this, I'm going on the less attacking threat because I don't see any clean sheets for any of these three players in their matches. So I'll probably bench Munoz. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably bench Munoz and play Hall and Porro. Even though that sounds very clashy because they're playing against each other and they could wipe each other out of a clean sheet. But I'm just thinking of the attacking threat each of those players provides individually for their team. So I'll probably bench Munoz and play Hall and Porro. But yeah, that's a few of the comments, guys. I think I'll obviously show you what my transfer plans will be. So let me just switch over to the other tab. So I can just briefly show you what I have in mind to do for my team. So obviously I am going to take out Bruno Fernandes. I did lose money on him because he dropped price as well, which is added insult to injury. Player I'm considering bringing in is Rodgers for that Aston Villa cover. He has Leicester away and it looks pretty good. Especially he played well against Arsenal, so he should be devastating against Leicester away, in theory. And if not, he's probably second best option to Watkins if you haven't got him, or you can't afford him, or can't fit him in. I think Rodgers is the key talisman to in terms of an Aston Villa asset. I don't see many goals coming from him, but more assists because he's a provider, not really a finisher. But he will give that Leicester defence a headache, I think. Well, I still think Watkins will be the top goal scorer for Aston Villa, but I still like Rodgers as an option, especially at 5.1 million. It's a very cheap way into that midfield. And if he can hold that spot and keep up with the rest of the midfielders' returns, then he could be a nice gem. It's curious of his ownership. It's only 13.7 as well. So, yeah, he hasn't had any returns yet, but he has played 90-minute football. So it's imminent, I think. And the fixtures look really nice for Aston Villa. 4 green fixtures in a row. He also has Ipswich away in game week 6, so he plays Leicester away in the game week 3, obviously, and Everton could also could be another fixture to target as well because they've conceded 7 goals so far, and they're looking a bit defensively weakened this season, ironically, because they had one of the best defenses last season. Watch Bruno actually return finally from Elica. Yeah, that would be typical FPL. You take a player out and they return as soon as you remove them from your team. But if he does return, I'm not going to be that bothered because I'll just be thankful that I have no Man United assets in my team because whichever way that match will go, something's telling me that it's not going to be the way I wanted it to go, and it's not going to be that exciting. But we'll wait and see for that. But yeah, that's probably what will happen. Bruno will probably return, and the player I bring in will probably blank in hindsight. But yeah, I was considering another transfer, and I was taking out Solanke and bringing in Watkins. Now I could go bald and go with 2-3 transfers this week. I bring Watkins in as well as Rodgers, and then I've got that Aston Villa cover for pretty much 4 game weeks. Although it does leave me a bit of a benching headache because I'd either have to bench one of my 5 midfielders if I'm playing the front 3. So I probably have to bench Gordon. And considering Gordon came off of he scored a goal in his last fixture against Bournemouth. And he also got he got 3 bonus points from that as well. I don't know if that's the right move to do or not because that fixture against Spurs could be high scoring. Although I do have Isaac as a cover, but Isaac hasn't really impressed me so far. So I could go for Rodgers and Watkins and have that full cover. I just see Watkins returning. That's the only thing. That's why I'm tempted to bring him in as well. But we'll have to. You'll see nearer the time whether I go with Watkins too and use my 2-3 transfers up. How much money does that leave me actually? 1.8 million in the bank as well, so that leaves me a bit of cash to flutter as well. But yeah, that is what it's looking like at the moment. Whether I go for Rodgers one is locked in terms of transfers. It's just the Watkins ones. Whether I go full ball on Aston Villa, doing well in that Leicester game because he is away, so it's not going to be easy at the stadium. But if I bring Watkins in now, because I don't think many people have really jumped on the bandwagon with him yet. I think if anything, they've taken him out, Watkins, because of his no returns, and he hasn't played 90-minute football as well. That's a bit of an off-putting thing. Only 64 minutes in game week 2, and then 61 in game week 1. So he's pretty much like Smith Rowe. He's playing about 60 or so minutes and then coming off. So his minutes could affect. But I do see that changing. It should be. He'll come back to 90 minutes football. If I do bring him in, I'm hoping he does play more than 60 minutes though, or scores early in that game. Edicus, hopefully the Tottenham versus Newcastle game is anything like the past seasons. Yeah, that's why I'm not sure whether to be Watkins in, because I'd have to bench Gordon. I don't really want to bench Gordon. If they have a really good game, not even that, if they score a lot of goals either side, I believe Gordon will be part of that. So it's either Gordon or Watkins, but Watkins has the better fixture, arguably, but Gordon has the most exciting fixture. But I don't see any other midfielder I could possibly bench in that regard. I think Gordon's probably the least viable option. Diego Jota and Salah definitely don't want to bench them, even though they got Man United away. There's still potential there. Saka's got Brighton at home. Anything could happen in that game. Two good sides playing against each other. One's got to lose their third game. Arsenal in the title running, so there's some keep for keeping Saka there, not benching him either. Rodgers, no point in me benching him because that's backwards. If I'm playing Watkins and benching him, that's not good. So it would have to be Gordon. I can't get any defenders off because it's 3 at the back. Can't have less than that. And I can't bench Isaac as much as he hasn't been that great at 8.5 million. That's a headache. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Not to mention, on Haaland draft, Haaland has West Ham and he's 60% owned now. That is starting to look a bit scary now, his ownership. I'm not even considered Haaland in this, but sooner or later, so we have to see how he gets on. So if you would like to join the league, guys, the code is just down below me in the overlay and in the description of the video as well. So if you want to join that and see if you can win it, then feel free. Elegant says, if you bring in Rodgers, how many free transfers do you have left? I'd bank on Aston Villa from Gameweek 4. I'd have one free transfer left if I just bring in Rodgers. And I would bank on Aston Villa from Gameweek 4. Yeah, I mean, Aston Villa's fixtures from Gameweek 4 looking pretty good. Everton at home, Wolves at home, and Ipswich away. Very good fixtures there. But even the Leicester away one, looking good. If Watkins could find his shooting boots on early on in that game, it could be wonderful, especially with Rodgers as well. He's going to be a nightmare for Leicester. They're going to have to be on the ball for him. If he can run through that defence again and provide Watkins with opportunities, then he could equally have a good game. That's why I'm considering using that second transfer on Watkins. But it does leave me in a benching dilemma. Oh, yeah, still some time to go, guys. There's 40 minutes or so before the deadline ends. So there's plenty of time to get your team ready and sorted and what transfers you have in mind. I can't believe Quanson's had 2 price drops. He's 4.3 million. I feel like I've lost a lot of money on him since I bought him in from Gameweek 1 in that quick switch around for Virgil van Dijk. 2 downgrading him to Kwanzaa has really not paid off at all. Hopefully that 0.2 million doesn't affect me too much in the long term prospect of bringing players in. But yeah, I think it's going to be another high scoring game week. The fixtures look good for teams, and there's been a lot of obviously potential, especially midfielders scoring big in game week 3. It will be interesting to see who's the top returner of game week 3 because there is a lot of contenders. My worry is if Benitez can't provide me with anything because that fixture alone is too good to be true. 10.4% ownership, which is not too bad. Again, he hasn't really played 90-minute football. He played about 79 and then 77. So I'm hoping he can score early in that game. rather than later because he might get subbed off. So he is an early sub risk as well. But again, that's a wait and see. That's a gamble we need to take for that fixture. I was tempted at bringing Smith Rowe in for instead of Rodgers, but Smith Rowe's minutes. If he played 90 minutes, then I would have a difference of opinion. But considering Rodgers plays 90 over him, it gives Rodgers more opportunities and time to get a return. Dan the Man says, hello. I'm rolling again into free transfers at international break. Can't think of any transfers that would improve to my team at all. That is fair enough. If your team is perfect, there's no changes whatsoever, then you're in a good position, especially having free transfers for the international break. It's not such a bad idea either, because we all know what happens in international breaks. Flags pop up everywhere, and you need a few transfers to sort them out. Remember last season I had that same issue. I kept suffering from flags most game weeks because of other competitions, especially international break. So yeah, it's good to always have those extra ones in case. Wolfie says Captain Watkins, Burma or Salah. See with Salah, I don't know what the result will be for Man United, so it's hard to put the captaincy on him. In Burma is a good shout, different captain, because they have Southampton and it is a home fixture for them, so that's a very strong candidate captain, I think. Or Watkins. See, I don't know if Watkins' minutes, if he'll play 90, that's the only reason why I wouldn't captain him. Otherwise, if he did play 90 minutes, I'd be a bit more confident on his chances of scoring and doing well. But regardless, if he does score early in that game, that's made up for. I see Aston Villa scoring early too. I'd probably captain Watkins. Yeah, he's had chances to score. He had 2 good chances against Arsenal, which he didn't put against them, obviously. But I like the chances he's getting, and eventually it will pay off. So I think this game week it could pay off for him. I'd probably captain Watkins out of the 3. Start Wood or Isak. I'll start Isak. That Newcastle Spurs fixture is always lively. Well, hopefully it's lively again, because it's one of those fixtures where it's end to end, exciting. There's a lot of goals, hopefully, in that one. So I'll give a chance to put it to Isak, especially when Spurs' defense isn't that completely solid. I know they kept a clean sheet last game, but they're playing against a more tougher opponent. So I'll probably I'll go with Isak to start over Wood. Thoughts in Burma? Well, he's become a great asset, I think, because of obviously Tony situation. He could be a nice talisman as a decent returner now for Brentford. I'm just having a look at in Burma. And he does have a nice fixture against Southampton at home as well. I could possibly see a lot of goals in that. And Burma does show a lot more attack now, which I like. We saw that when obviously Tony was absent from most of last season, and Burma and Wissa were pretty much the key providers for the Brentford. But seen as it is, in terms of FPL assets, I think he's a good one for this game week. Underlooked. and not many people considered him for that fixture. Comment for Jenny says, "Hi, Jordan. Would you bench Odegaard or Wood?" There's a lot of headaches for Chris Wood in these benching situations. I'd probably play. I think you should bench. It'd be hard to do this, but I'll probably bench Odegaard. I don't think Odegaard's had a single return yet for Arsenal. Let's go double check that in case I'm wrong. I'm sure he hasn't returned yet. No, he hasn't. He hasn't had a single return, Odegaard, which is, some say, unusual. Because we usually see variations in that Arsenal midfield where we see different goal scorers. But it's still early days. That could change. But I think in terms of the fixtures, that Brighton at home one, I think it's going to be really tough. Especially if Brighton play really well against Arsenal. I'll probably go with Chris Wood. Wolves conceded 6 against Chelsea. Looking pretty vulnerable, especially losing a few players in the team. So yeah, I'll go with Chris Wood. Obviously, to start Chris Wood and bench Odegaard. Morris says start Porro or Robinson. It would have to be Robinson because of the fixture he has, and he also shows attacking threat as much as Pedro Porro does. But I prefer the fixture that Robertson has against Ipswich away. Even though the Newcastle one could be lively. No clean sheet in there, but Pedro Porro could get an attacking return, but less likely, I think, over Robinson, who has a nicer fixture. So I'll start Robertson over Porro. If you could try, start both, but Robertson would be the one that I would start out of those two. Down the man, things I could do are Eze to Rogers / Smith Rowe or Saliba to Konza. I have Raya, but none of them feel right. Should I take Saliba out? I don't think you necessarily need to take Saliba out. I mean, let me check Arsenal's fixtures. They have Brighton, obviously, now. They've got Spurs and Man City after this, so I understand why you'd want to take Saliba out. Because I don't see a clean sheet in either of those two fixtures. And then the fixtures get a little bit more easy when they have Leicester, Southampton, and Bournemouth away, but you have Raya anyway. So the only thing you'll probably miss out on is maybe bonus points if Saliba does well in defence, and maybe a header, possibly attacking return, but I don't see that much happening from Arsenal defenders, maybe one or two here and there, but nothing significant. I think you've got enough cover though with Raya there. So you could do Saliba at Konza. Or you could do Eze to Rogers or Emil Smith Rowe. I think I would do Eze to Rogers because after the Man City and Arsenal games, Arsenal's fixtures do become more easy again, and you might want Saliba for those and double cover the Arsenal defence. Because at the moment, it's working really well for them. In obviously, their defence is really solid. But if I was to do Eze to one of those two, it'd probably be Rogers. For me, Eze to Rogers. But I'd probably keep Saliba in there. You could bench him for 2 game weeks, play someone else, and then bring it back on for the next 3, where the rotation of fixtures becomes more easier. But again, Eze has been really unlucky for Crystal Palace. So would you want to take him out as well? Maybe. He does have Chelsea though, so that leaves it more tempting. But yeah, I'll probably do Eze too, Rogers. I just see more upside in that sense. Eric says, I'll be rolling as well for free transfers, giving Kamada, Murphy, and Hall one last chance. Yeah, I think this is a game where we give a lot of players one more chance. Like, I'm going to give Isaac one more chance. If he can't return in that Tottenham home fixture, I know it's not not an easy one, but it's one of those high scoring ones. And if he can't return, then it's, I don't know, like 3-4 something ridiculous like that in that game, and nothing for his that, then yeah, that could be the last straw for him. And as well for the Newcastle assets and not really paid off. Gordon is the only one that's really paid off. I mean, Burn did nick something in terms of a clean sheet, but against Southampton. But apart from that, Isaac's got 1 assist, and that's not really enough for a forward in 2 game weeks to have 1 assist. So yeah, there is some last calls for some players as well for me. Jenny says we'll probably transfer Odegaard to Saka after the break. Yeah, that's a good move. I've liked Saka's Arsenal asset. I quite like the look of doubling up on Arsenal assets and going for Havertz too. Because I think Saka and Havertz are probably the best 2, I think, so far that I've seen in the team. Robert says bench 1, Porro, Isaac, Rogers, Konza, or Guardiola. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'd probably play. Well, I'll play Rogers for sure. Isaac, I'd play regardless of fixtures. He's 8.5 million, and I think I would want to bench an 8.5 million player. I'd rather just take him out instead. Guardiola, you got to play him. It's between Konza and Porro, really. Konza has Leicester away. Porro has obviously Newcastle away. Don't see a clean sheet for either side, but I'll bench Konza. No, I'll go back on that. Yes, yeah, I will say bench Konza out of that difficult decisions. Edgar's, sorry, that's to someone else. Dan says I could change my 4 million defenders to Del Kovacic, if that's right, and bench Saliba. Yeah, you could do that actually. Yeah, you could. That's one. Would you want to change 4 million defender though, and bench Saliba? Then yeah, I don't think I feel right with that move either, Dan. I think you should roll the free transfers over. Well, yeah, roll the free transfer over so you have 3 for the next game week, I think, because you're in a good position. I think any little changes now might affect that, and considering we've got the international break coming up, you might need those free transfers. Yes, says thanks, Jordan. Have a good weekend. Yeah, have a good weekend too, and everyone else who hopefully has some nice, relaxing plans looking ahead. Fortune says bench 1 of Eze, Semenyo, Miniz, and Rogers. Oh, it's between Semenyo and Eze, really. Because you want Miniz and Rogers to play. I'd have to bench Semenyo. I know Semenyo has a better fixture over Eze who has Chelsea, but I just think Eze's been very unlucky to not score yet. He could do it against Chelsea, surprisingly. So yeah, I'll bench Semenyo. Bench 1 from Wissa, Bailey, Semenyo, Miniz, and Welbeck. Wissa has Southampton, good fixture. Bailey, Leicester. Semenyo again, and Miniz and Welbeck. Welbeck has the toughest one because he's got Arsenal and it's away. But he's been on good form. Could he nick a goal against Arsenal? Possibly. It could possibly happen. Brighton probably won't win that match, but I can see a goal coming from Brighton, and maybe it is from Welbeck. But I'll play Wissa, I'll play Muniz. I'll play Bailey as well. Definitely would play him. It's between Welbeck and Semenyo again. Again, I'll probably bench Semenyo. I can't back away from Welbeck because Brighton have been in really good form. And I've been impressed with them with their obviously new manager after Zerbi's left. They've been really good. Defense, midfield, and attack. Overall, it's been great, and Welbeck's had a few returns too. I know he's got Arsenal, but and he could possibly blank. I don't know. I just like to run a good form for him. I'll bench Semenyo. Comment from Bora YT says Diaz and Trent or KDB and Robertson. Now Robertson's an interesting one because I spoke about him last. Obviously, in the last knee-jerk reaction, I think Robertson's a good potential candidate for a new Liverpool defender if you can't stretch to Trent. Because I like the way Robertson was getting forward against Brentford. On that left-hand side, he was having chances and he could have possibly scored in that game. Now, this might be because of the new setup that Liverpool gone for. And it does include Robertson maybe getting higher than normal and forward more. But I do like him as an option. Although for your question, Boa, I'll probably go for Diaz and Trent because Huss would probably agree with me. Trent is one of the best defenders at the price he's at, 7-something million. So, and Diaz as well has been good too. I think Diaz, Jota, and Salah are the ultimate three midfielders to target. But you'd want to include one defender in there. And Trent does show attacking threat, and he's good at the long balls too. So I'll go with Diaz and Trent on that one, Bora. So not long left, guys. It's about 20 minutes or so before the deadline ends. I might do my first move because I'm already confident and locked on obviously what I'm going to do. So let me just reset the team and go for it. So Bruno Fernandes is coming out of the team. A bit of a slight relief for that. And the player I'm going to bring in for him is Rodgers. So that move is locked in. I might as well make the transfer now because I'm not going to go back on that. So Bruno Fernandes out for Rodgers for 1 free transfer. And that is now confirmed. So if I switch over to the other team, you can guys now see that Rodgers is a new addition to the team. Right there. So yeah, that does leave it in a better look, I think. Got that Aston Villa cover in there for the Leicester away fixture. And it does leave me with a bit more money too. Comment from Borough says captaincy Palmer, Salah or Watkins. All strong candidates there. Especially Palmer against Crystal Palace after providing 3 assists and scoring 1 goal. Palmer could be a good one against Crystal Palace. Seem to be sort of struggling in a sense. Salah has Man United, unpredictable fixture, who knows. Watkins, I like Watkins as a captain option. It's just how many minutes he plays. He is playing 70 plus minutes instead of 90, but that soon will change. I'm not sure when Emery will start playing Watkins for 90 minutes, but hopefully it's soon. I like the chances Watkins is getting, so I'll take a punt on Palmer. If you have Palmer, I'll captain him for this week. Chelsea, I think, at home fixture. I'm liking the looks of it. So, yeah. Yeah, I think Palmer. Dan Man says you're getting Trent next week. I was considering bringing in Robertson instead of Trent because it's too much money for me to bring Trent in next week. And I like Robertson as a second option as a defender to go for. I mean, he might not get me as much as attacking threat as Trent will. But the clean sheets are there, obviously. And if he does play forward like he did against Brentford as well, there could be some attacking threat there too from him on the left-hand side. But I do like this new setup that Liverpool are going with at the moment. It's really good. Nkunku replacement. Well, there's quite a few. Overall, there's quite a few Nkunku replacements you can go for. There's Smith Rowe, cheap one who's got Ipswich. You've got Rodgers, even cheaper, 5.1 million. He's got Leicester away. If you're not looking to go for let's say a player that's got a decent fixture who's popular, then I would suggest just check it in Burmo. He's a little bit more expensive at 7 million, but he has Southampton at home, and his ownership is only 6%. His fixtures after that are really bad, but I'll take a punt on in Burmo for this week because he did score against Crystal Palace at home. I think the home fixture for Brentford are really beneficial. So there's a Burmo, there's Smith Rowe that I mentioned, Rodgers. Trying to think who else that could possibly be a candidate for this week's sake. I mean, there's Palmer, if you can stretch him. I'm not sure about Maduehi for Chelsea, but Palmer's another good one to go for. More expensive, though. But yeah, that's... I mean, Semenyo, he could be another good one as well. At 5.5. He does have Everton away, and Everton haven't looked great so far this season, so he could be another avenue to go down as a Nkunku replacement. So there is a few around the price bracket of him that you could possibly go for. Elika says, who in your opinion is the safe pick in terms of captaincy? Salah not included. I'm a United fan. In my opinion, is a safe pick in terms of captaincy. I'd probably say Haaland as a safe pick in terms of captaincy. He has West Ham, and you can see Man City winning that game. Whether Haaland keeps his good run of form up, with obviously coming off a hat trick. I don't see him scoring another hat trick, but I do see him scoring at least one goal in that game. So I'd probably say he's a safe pick in terms of captaincy this week because Saka has Brighton. I'm not sure about that because Brighton have looked really good. So I'm not sure what that game will be like. But I see Arsenal winning it just about. Watkins, he's not a safe one either because of minutes. He's not a 90-minute player yet. Obviously, it is that's got Tottenham at home, so that's a difficult one to judge. I would say my captain Muniz, but again, he isn't playing 90 minutes either. He's playing 70 or so minutes too. So yeah, I'll probably say Haaland is the safe pick in terms of captaincy this week. Score prediction for Man United and Liverpool. Well, I actually did a little, the Super Six that you do in every week. I put the score prediction for that game for Liverpool to win 3-1. So yeah, I'm backing against my own team, but it's realistically what I'm looking at as the outcome of that game, and I don't see Man United winning that game. If they do, it's not going to be legitimately won. It's going to be down to fortune if somehow Man United pull something out of that game. But I do see them turning up for it, which is the annoying thing because they should be doing that every game instead of doing it for the ones that are the toughest. So even that, I don't understand why Man United play in good football against teams like Liverpool, but play poorly against a team like Brighton. But yeah, I'm going to say Liverpool win 3-1 in that game. Aurora says, considering Emerson Rowe Rogers already had Menez. Yeah, that's what I was considering as well. Either Emil Smith or Rogers, because both are good picks. Either one. I went for Rogers because that's based on minutes. Rogers is a 90-minute player. Emil Smith Rowe is currently playing 60 plus minutes, so there's a little bit more upside if Rogers does score late on. Over, you have to expect Emil Smith Rowe to score possibly in the first half or just into the second half before you get substituted off. So there is that obviously that rotation of coming off early, which slightly nudges me out of getting Smith Rowe in because you already have Menez as well. So at least you have some attacking cover for that Ipswich game. So I think I would consider Rogers. They got Chintal in the chat. Henderson, Gabriel, Trent, Robinson, Saka. Emma Smith Rowe, Rogers, Menez, Isaac Haaland. And the subs Porro and Kunku and Johnson. 0.5 million in the bank, 2 free transfers. What should I do? And you got Henderson in goal. We've got Gabriel, Trent, Robertson at the back. Not bad fixtures for the players at the back. I mean, you got Brighton against Arsenal, Trent against Man United. I still play Trent regardless of the fixture. Saka, Emerson Rowe, Rogers, Menez, Saka on up front. Subs for Nkunku. What should I do? It might seem a bit backwards, but I'll probably take out Nkunku now. I don't see him as an option going forward, so I'd probably rather get rid of him now. But you've got him on the bench already, so you might want to roll the transfer and then use a transfer to take him out next week. If you're looking to play a different formation, you're playing 3 up front with the 4 in the midfield. But depending on how Isaac plays, I'd be tempted to take him out for someone else as well for next week. So you got 2 options for next week. I think roll this week, Gentel, because that team looks all right. I think nothing really needs to get changed in that team. And maybe look to next game week to take out either Nkunku or Isaac, depending on how Isaac performs. But I think Nkunku is the priority. Comment from Bilaras. Start 2, bench 1, Eze Smith Rowe, Rogers. Oh gosh, that is a tough one to bench. I mean, how can you decide to bench one of those 3? Oof. I'd have to go on the fixtures. I'd have to bench Eze. Stuff for days. I'd probably have to bench Eze. I'd rather not. I'm going on the fixtures, basis of the fixtures. He has the toughest one, Eze, out of those 3. But they all have good form, so I can't decide on form. Arguably, they can all score. It just depends on who's going to get more points over the other. If Smith Rowe can get a goal early and do well against Ipswich, I can see him doing well. Rogers again. Nightmare for lesser defence. Played 90 minutes. Woody will do well. Eze has been unlucky though. Misfortune. Hit the woodwork. But still no returns. It would have to be Eze on the basis of the fixture rather than the form. Hi, Ali Mac. Welcome. Any idea how Solanke has not dropped in price? You know what? I was just thinking that before I set the deadline stream up. How Solanke hasn't dropped in price, I'll never know. But on the other hand, Kwanzaa's dropped twice in price over him. I was just wondering how that's possible. Surely Solanke must have had one price drop by now. But yeah, that's flabbergasted me as much as it has you, Ali Mac. How Solanke hasn't dropped in price. That is an interesting one. Rogers -4 for Adama. Rogers -4 for Adama. I don't think I'll be taking Rogers out for -4. No, I don't like the move. IBZ. I'll keep Rogers in for this week. I've bought Rogers in. I don't think I'll be taking him out for -4. Locking in Haaland, Captain Murphy hat-trick incoming. Good luck, everyone, for this week. Yeah, good luck, guys. Hopefully you have a good week for Game 3. It should be a lively one with the fixtures. Exciting ones as well. Especially with my team, Man United, Liverpool. Who knows what will come out on that. But hopefully it's a good watch. And yeah, Haaland captain's going to be scary for me because it's a non-Haaland draft. And he is 60% owned. It is rising. I am hoping for something less than a hat-trick. Harry says, I'm taking a punt this week. Leon Bailey captain. Yeah, Leon Bailey is looking pretty good for Aston Villa. He was unfortunate to hit the post in one of his attacking runs, and he could have possibly scored. So I do like his play style too in that Aston Villa team, and yeah, I like the risk involved in that. He does have Leicester though, so I mean it's a good punt to take on this fixture this week. Harry Davies says, I should probably start Jota instead of Bruno, but main like bias always comes on top in regards of FPL. Yeah, I mean, it's the same Man United I saw last season. There's no progression in it, in my opinion. It's like they've taken 2 steps back more than 3 steps forward in their progression. I mean, Bruno is a good player in that team, but I feel like he's the only player that's more highly advanced than the rest of them around him in terms of vision. But yeah, I think I'd probably start. Yeah, I probably would start Jota instead of Bruno. I mean, I've taken Bruno out of my team. I'm not even contemplating keeping him in anymore. After that game week 2. Pedro Silva says, Porras, Lieber, Trent, Robertson, Jota, Saka, Smith, or Haaland would in this act. Would you bring Rodgers in? If so, for who? That's a tough one. Bring Rodgers in, so for who? I wouldn't want to bring him in for any of those players. I wouldn't want to take out any of those players. I wouldn't take out Smith Rowe. Wouldn't take out Saka or Jota. Yeah. I mean, you could do Smith Rowe to Rodgers, but that's a bit sideways, especially with Smith Rowe having a good fixture. Yeah. I don't know about bringing Rodgers in for the way your team's set up as well. No, I wouldn't bring Rodgers in for any of those players. Pedro Silva, that's difficult, especially this week. I know Jota has Man United, but again, that's unpredictable. Anything could happen. Saka has Brighton, but it's a home fixture at the Emirates, and Arsenal looking to get the 3 points there. So yeah, I would not bring Rodgers in, as difficult as that sounds. Lewis Evans, should I bench Pedro, João Pedro, Konza, Trent, or Guardiola? I'll be definitely playing Trent and Guardiola because their prices are too good to obviously bench. So it's between João Pedro and Konza. I'll be benching Konza. It's the only one I can think of in that selection. Trent Guardiola too good to be benched. João Pedro has looked good for Brighton. Brighton have looked good. He does have a difficult fixture against Arsenal, but I do see Brighton scoring in that game, and it could come from João Pedro. Konza, yeah, Konza is the one I'll probably bench out of those four. Comment from Hamza: Burn to Konza and play Bernardo, or play Burn and take out Bernardo. But who do I buy? Burn to Konza and play Bernardo, or play Burn and take out Bernardo. I'll probably do Burn to Konza and play Bernardo. Yeah, I'll do that. Burn has a difficult fixture. Tottenham at home. I don't see a clean sheet there. No attacking return. Konza gives you a bit more variety in that defence as well, especially if you have any Spurs players in your team as well. So I'll probably do Burn to Konza and play Bernardo. Comment from Andy Max says, I have Haaland, Salah and Isak. Am I mad to captain Isak? No, you're not mad at all. I mean, Haaland, if you have Haaland in your team, that's good as enough, I think, because I have no Haaland at all. So it's worse off for me. But not so much for you because you already own him. So your captain option to go for Isak isn't such a bad choice, especially when you have Salah and Isak too in the team. Just owning Haaland and Salah in your team is beneficial, where it has been so far for you, because they both have returned massively. And the captain Isak, there's been a massive, obviously, big scores from that fixture. So Isak could return big for us Isak owners. If he does, then it kind of saves us from taking him out possibly next game week if he doesn't get anything. And sorry, I meant get Rodgers in for -4. Yeah, I thought that looked a bit backwards, but yeah, apologies for that misreading that. I still think a -4 is very strong to bring Rodgers in for. But if you're holding him for long term, it could pay off for that -4. So yeah, you could probably get Rodgers in for -4. I think it'll pay off in the long term aspect. Hassan says, Ahmad or Rodgers for this week? It's definitely Rodgers for this week. No questions, no answers. That's without any debate. I think Rodgers is definitely for this week. Harry Dots, he says, by way, Bailey in for Gibbs White. It's a slight risk, but we've got to take risks in this game. Forest fixtures will be hard after the international break. Yeah, that's it. You got to take the risk. There's no risk without reward, as we say. So, yeah, we do like a good risk, I think, in FPL. Now, there's not long, guys, until the deadline ends. It's 2 minutes. I am going to see what I'm going to do with this move. I want to bring Watkins in. I'm going to gamble this. I'm going to do it. I'm taking Solanke out and bringing Watkins in. Do I have time to do this? I do have time to do this move. I want Watkins. And it's going to happen. I'm doing the transfer now. Solanke out, Watkins in for another free transfer. And obviously, I'll have to bench Gordon and do that. And then put him there. And then put Davies there. And let me just reset the team. So it's a quick transfer, guys. I just had a feeling. Guys. I felt it was the right thing to do. Bring Watkins in. Now I'm locked in. That is the team, guys. And I just literally did it before the deadline ends. Literally a few seconds before it does close. But I have taken out Solanke and brought Watkins in. And I have bench Gordon. But I do have cover for Isak in that Newcastle attack still. I'm just hoping Gordon doesn't punish me too much. Confident. Yeah, last minute decision. Yes, it is a last minute decision. I was thinking about doing it for this whole deadline stream, and yeah, I finally have done it now. And Gordon bench. No, yeah, I mean, it's hard to bench any other midfielder or even a forward in that team. So I'm just hoping Gordon doesn't punish me in that fixture. Fingers crossed. Most of the returns come from Isaac instead. But the deadline is over, guys. It is 11 o'clock. So hopefully you've made your transfers, and hopefully I haven't put myself in a rabbit hole doing this move. I'm hoping the Watkins cover makes up for it. But yeah, let me just read a few of your other comments out, and that will be the end of this deadline stream. Dan the man says, you plan on bringing in Brighton assets for Game Week 4? I have thought about it because they do look good, the Brighton options. I potentially was thinking of bringing in Welbeck for Isaac, depending on how Isaac gets on this week. Because I do like the looks of the forward attack for Brighton now. Yeah, there's so many options: Adingra, Mitoma, Welbeck, and João Pedro. There's 4 different options you could possibly go for that Brighton. For Brighton assets for Game Week 4. So yeah, that's in my limelight as amongst other players too. Although I will only have one free transfer for next week, so I've got to be wise on who I bring in. Coming from Manib, he says, my team is Henderson, Trent, Aina, Robinson, Gibbs, White, Saka, Rogers, Andreas, Eze, Harden, Isaac, Thoughts. I like the team. The back 3 looking good. Robinson being the best one for probable clean sheet against Ipswich. Trent looking good against Man United. Could show something there. Aina comes off a 9-pointer from last week. Can he do similar performances? Possibly. Gibbs White, differential, I like it. Saka, main man for Arsenal, I think. Rogers, nice transferring for Leicester away. Andreas could be a good one against Ipswich too. Underlooked. Eze, been unlucky, but good on good form. And Haaland is the main man come off a hat-trick. And Isaac is the only one. That's a question mark. Whether he can return this week against Spurs will depend on whether we keep him or not. But my thoughts on that team is it's really good, locked in, set up and ready. Mini for Game Week 3. I actually changed my mind on captaining Bruno. Why not? Now I'm locked in. Good luck. Look on that one. I mean, I'll be keeping in mind if Bruno gets anything from that game. I'll be happy for you because that is very bold. That's probably the boldest thing I've seen anyone do in terms of FPL is captain Bruno Fernandes, who's got Liverpool. Well, I suppose it is a home fixture for Old Trafford, so realistically they should do well. But it depends what well is for Man United. Dan the man says, I have Ipswich will do well at home. Maybe Mini's bench would be wiser, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. Yeah, I don't feel I could bench Mini's. I mean, he hasn't played 90-minute football yet. He's played about 70 or so, but no, I couldn't bench Mini's for that fixture. They do well at home, though, Ipswich. I will say that. I do agree on that because they did hold Liverpool off for quite a bit in that first half, but I do see them tiring themselves out again, like they did against Liverpool, and maybe Fulham going on the attack in the second half. But I'm hoping Fulham just come out of the barn doors, guns blazing, and sort of get some goals early in that game. Because I don't want Muniz coming off and not getting a return, especially with him captain. And because to be fair, who would he bench out for? I wouldn't. Gordon, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it had to be Gordon. He's the least likely because of the fixture, but then it's a high-scoring fixture. I'm hoping it's a low-scoring one now, but it's hard. I couldn't bench Diego Jota or Salah. They're too good, Liverpool. I've liked the way Liverpool played football. It might come to a surprise what we get from that game, but Gordon on the bench, it didn't put my mind at rest, let's just say. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And finally, Dan the Man says, I'm expecting a red arrow, currently 132k. I haven't changed my team or captain since game week 1. I mean, if your team doesn't need changing, then you should be expecting a red arrow. Well, I mean, at this current moment, it's still early days, Dan, because in terms of rank and whatnot, everything could change because it's only game week 3. So hopefully, you still have a good week regardless if you do expect a red arrow. But I think we're wrapping it up here, guys. Thank you for watching through this hour-long deadline stream. It's always appreciated for your obviously support and all your questions in the chat. Thank you guys for that as well. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here. We'll be back for the knee-jerk reaction, which is, I believe, Sunday. So at some point Sunday, we will see how well our teams have done and how well you guys have done as well in the chat. But I think until then, guys, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you very soon for the knee-jerk reaction on Sunday. But have a good weekend, good luck, and enjoy the football.